Good morning. This is KELOLAND on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
A Pier man accused of killing a Rapid City woman last November is pleading not guilty to the crime. 23-year-old David Shangro Jr. is charged with murder and aggravated assault in the stabbing death of 17-year-old Evie Maxey.
The Attorney General's office says it will not seek the death penalty in this case. Shangro is being held at the Hughes County Jail on a $300,000 bond. A Rapid City man believed to be at the center of a major drug ring plans to plead guilty to federal charges. According to court documents, William Perez got hundreds of pounds of meth from Arizona and other places and brought it to Rapid City to sell. Documents say Perez was also involved in the sale of at least 10 pounds of cocaine.
As part of a plea deal, Perez will plead guilty to meth and cocaine charges. Other drug charges will be dismissed. Perez faces anywhere from 10 years to life in prison for each of the charges. A change of plea hearing has not been scheduled. A 70-year-old man is in the hospital with life-threatening injuries, and authorities are trying to determine what caused this crash on I-90 near the Humboldt exit. The box truck went off the interstate and crashed into a bridge Wednesday morning.
The driver was pinned in the truck and flown to a hospital for his injuries. Because of the damage to the bridge, DOT engineers decided to close it to traffic.
Now let's get a check of our weather with meteorologist Scott Munn, starting the day with snow, Scott.
Oh, yeah, and we'll end the day with some wind in eastern and southeastern South Dakota. We'll have wind earlier today across western KELOLAND. That will cause areas of blowing snow where they've had snow during the overnight hours, extending into the morning. Snow will move west to east across the area for today. In general, I would say 1 to 3 inches. Now, there can be a couple of us that do measure a little more than that. If that happens, it may happen in parts of south central South Dakota, and some of that can move in the southeastern KELOLAND. Warmer temperatures still in the forecast for next week. And Brian will have more details on your forecast coming up.
All right. Thank you very much, Scott. A man from Crooks is in the hospital after suffering severe frostbite in both of his hands over the bitterly cold weekend. He was outside for about 30 minutes without a hat or gloves on Saturday night.
His sister says this will affect his ability to work and started a GoFundMe to help pay for his medical expenses.
He's going to be in the hospital for some time, and, just because you're in the hospital doesn't mean your bills stop. He's not going to be able to work. So just trying to kind of jump ahead of it.
The GoFundMe can be found attached to this story here on KELOLAND.com, along with additional information on what signs to look for with frostbite. There's a lot to dislike about colder weather, but it's a welcome change for ice anglers.
South Dakota Game Fish and Park says there's plenty of good ice in South Dakota to enjoy. This comes after a delayed start to the ice fishing season because of the warm weather.
Fortunately, when you get frigid temperatures, one of the positives is that we do have good ice development across the lakes. So we went from rather poor conditions across a lot of the state to, frankly, pretty good conditions now.
Despite the frigid temperatures, Harrington reminds people to keep safety top of mind if they're heading out onto the ice. Crews with the Parks and Rec Department in Sioux Falls have been working to build the ice rinks across the city.
Because of the warm December and colder January, the rinks are opening later than usual. Brett Collars with Parks and Rec says they're hoping the weather continues to help the ice-making process.
As we work with the variables, it's seasons like this that have us excited, looking forward to what Jacobson Plaza downtown will be able to offer. That's a refrigerated ice ribbon, and so the ice building conditions are much more forgiving as we manage through the elements.
Collars says they're hoping to have the rinks open by Friday.
That's a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get one last look at your weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, our weather update today. Well, the headline is out there, winter weather advisory for the combination of new snow and some amount of wind, and obviously that leads to some blowing snow. Keep that in mind as travel conditions will likely deteriorate throughout the afternoon, and it's already snow-covered and slippery throughout much of north central, and northwestern South Dakota. So we're just picking up some of that snow here early this morning in the Sioux Falls area, but that story will be unfolding throughout the day today. Let's take a look at Futurecast. So we pinpoint this axis of snow and see how it moves diagonally to the southeast. It looks like Sioux Falls will be fully into snow mode here for the late morning and early afternoon. So plan accordingly. I think your visibilities will be dropping with the heavier periods of snow. And as that deposits on those city streets and sidewalks, it's going to be ever more slippery. I could easily see the drive time commute being pretty slick. You know, this cold, extra cold temperature that just adds to the greasy effect of that snow. In other words, your braking distance, you'll kind of be surprised if you're not driving according to the conditions here. So just slow down. That's plain and simple here as we are embracing another dose of winter weather. How about the wind? Well, tonight it'll be a steady northwest wind. It'll be every bit of 15 to 30 in Sioux Falls. That starts to cut into our wind chill factor. It creates some blowing snow. Rural areas will feel that the most. And also, I think our strongest wind gusts today will be around Rapid City, and some of these gusts will be over 40. So we do really need to pay attention to that. And obviously, it's getting colder. We're going to cycle back tomorrow, hopefully a little bit above zero in Sioux Falls. But when we bottom out here by Saturday morning, clear skies, light winds, new snow. I mean, the list keeps growing that supports a possible record low in Sioux Falls. If we don't hit a record, it'll be close, but our going low temperature forecast is about 24 below zero. There's your snow outlook. Couple new things here. We've been watching carefully this middle axis of the snow band today, and I can tell you that as we watch the trend from 2 days ago to yesterday to today, everything is shifting ever so slightly to the east. And so I just put that out there because Sioux Falls is now edging even a little bit closer to maybe what's going to be the heaviest snow band. And that fluff factor can easily support some isolated 3+ numbers today. No, not a major storm, but again, you just have to pay attention to that and make sure you're aware of those conditions. There's the wind outlook. This is a brand new update. I think our worst winds are coming in this evening. A lot of the weather map is yellow or orange, so that's a fair amount of wind as this clipper zips on by the next 24 hours. The hope is tomorrow we will tame down the wind a little bit in the afternoon, but it's still going to be rolling at gusts at least in the 20-mile-an-hour range. So that's plenty of wind when you got fluffy snow. It just can blow that pretty easily and efficiently. Numbers are dropping today. Sioux Falls, we've already hit the high for the day. We're going to fall through the single digits this afternoon. Same thing in Aberdeen and Pierre. Remember, your snow totals in Aberdeen won't be as high, but cutting down the middle of South Dakota, absolutely. We've been picking up some pretty decent snow. So when we add that 20 to 35 mile an hour wind in Pierre this evening, that's another cause to, pay attention to the forecast. And then tomorrow, it's going to be cold, single digits. And then the thinking is we really bottom out once we lose the clouds here Saturday morning. Saturday's high is 1 below. The wind will come back to visit us another go around Saturday night, Sunday morning. That will be a southerly wind, and you bet that'll probably create more blowing and drifting snow for those that are picking up a little more of that. Hey, the end of the forecast, though, much better, isn't it? 30s for highs starting next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I think we're going to get into a prolonged period of milder conditions. There could be some moisture in the southeast. We'll deal with that subject a little bit more in the days ahead. But for Pierre and Rapid City, same thing. We're going to start to moderate, and the far west could really take off. We could be 45 to 50 pretty easily starting Sunday and Monday. Check out more details on that wintry forecast at KELOLAND.com.